Do you have the Brother CS6000 sewing machine? Trying to wind a bobbin, thread it, and start sewing? Well, that's what we're about to do in this video, so stay tuned, hit the like, and we're going to get right into it. First, let's wind a bobbin. So that means whatever color thread you want to use, we'll need that and an empty bobbin, and we're going to wind some of this thread onto this empty bobbin. So to begin, we're going to need to pull our spool pin up. This is the spool pin, so if yours is down, like that, pull it up, find the center of your spool of thread, and stick that on the spool pin. Now we're going to be following this diagram here that shows how to wind a bobbin. These two pictures here with the gray numbers. Bring the thread path just like it shows in the diagram. So in front of that silver circle and back to the right like that. It should cross over itself. Now you'll take the end of your thread and thread it through one of these holes on the bobbin. So when you thread it, don't go in through the outside, go in through the inside so the thread tail comes out of the top. Just like that. And just pull all the slack out of that thread, and then you can stick that bobbin over here on the bobbin winding post, like that. Now we're going to take that post and just push it over to the right. This tells the machine it's time to wind the bobbin. So hold this tail straight up, and now we're going to hit the pedal. You can see it's starting to wind some thread on there. Now that it's started, you can clip this tail off so you don't have to hold it the whole time. Keep going until you have enough that it's full. Once it fills, it will start to slow down. Then you can take the bobbin winder post and push it back over to the left. Once you pull the bobbin off, you can actually slide your thread into one of these little grooves and cut it with those little blades. So now we have a wound bobbin. We just followed these two diagrams to do that. Now we're going to move on to this other diagram to thread the top of the machine. So take your thread out of the bobbin winding tension disc. We only use that for bobbin winding. And now we're going to do what this diagram shows, which is to bring the thread under this guide and then over it like that. Now take the thread down this first path on the front of the machine. You'll see there's the number 2 there. Now next is number 3, where we're going to go down and back up around. But before you do that, we need to check that our take-up lever isn't in the highest position. That silver thing there is your take-up lever. If it's not at the highest position, come to the flywheel on the side of your machine and turn the flywheel towards you until that take-up lever comes to its highest position. Now we'll bring the thread down and back up. Now we'll bring the thread around the take-up lever and back down. Make sure the thread passed through the hole in the front of the take-up lever. Next, bring the thread behind this silver guide, which opens to the right, like that. Make it so it comes straight down. Next, we will thread the needle from front to back. You can clip the tail and then thread the needle from front to back, just like that. Make sure the thread is not twisted around the needle in any way. It's coming straight down and straight through the front and into the hole. Now that the top of the machine is threaded, we can insert our wound bobbin into the bobbin area. So we need to open this door, so use this latch and slide it over to the right. Then you can remove this clear door. Now we'll put our bobbin into the bobbin case, but we need to put it the right direction. It needs to go counterclockwise. If you ever forget, there's a little picture right here. So make sure it's going counterclockwise around the bobbin, not flipped over like this, going clockwise. So make sure it's counterclockwise and matches the picture, and then drop the bobbin down into the bobbin case like that. Now we'll take the thread tail, the way this arrow is going, through this little path here. And you come all the way up and around. And when you get over here, there's a little blade you can pull and the thread will be cut and it's all ready to go. Now we just slide that little tab back in on the door so we can close it. The machine should be ready to sew. There's one setting I want to change before we get started, and that is to put the needle in the center position. So this machine, there's one setting I want to change before we get started, and that is to get the needle in the center position. So this machine starts at stitch 0. I'm going to change it to stitch number 1 because now you can see that the needle is centered in the presser foot. See, if I go back to 0, it's over to the side. I like to start in the center. So these are those two stitches, 0 and 1, 1 being centered. So now we're on a centered straight stitch, so let's try this out. This is our speed control dial. You can turn this all the way down to start if you like. So let's get a piece of fabric and test the machine. So first I'm going to take the thread and slide it between that slot on the presser foot so it can lay back here out of the way. Next, you can put your fabric under the presser foot. This is the presser foot. Now, before we begin sewing, we need to lower the presser foot down onto the fabric. So reach back here and find this lever. Lower the lever down so the presser foot is on the fabric. You never want to sew without the presser foot lowered onto the fabric. So go ahead and hit the pedal gently and the machine should take off. Let's see what happens if we turn the speed control all the way up. Now you'll be controlling the speed with your foot pedal, so the harder you press, the faster it will sew. If your machine stops with the needle down, you can either turn your flywheel towards you to raise the needle, or you can press this needle up, needle down button, which will raise or lower your needle. Now lift the presser foot and pull your fabric out to the side. Here on the side of the machine, there's a thread cutter blade, so you can bring the tails around that. Here on the side of the machine, there's a thread cutter, so you can bring the tails around that and cut them in that blade. So here's our straight stitch. It looks really good on the front and really good on the back. If your stitch is not looking good, you may need to try threading it again and making sure you do every step correctly, or you may need to actually adjust your tension. If that's the case, you can check out my video on adjusting your tension here. The first time we threaded the machine, we did it the old-fashioned way, but did you know this machine actually has a needle threader? I'll show you how to use it now. So again, make sure your needle's in the highest position before we try this, and then depress this gray lever here all the way down. What's going to happen is a tiny hook is going to come through the eye of the needle that you won't really be able to see. Continuing to depress the gray lever, bring the thread around this metal triangle guide, bringing it over the top, and then straight across like that. And now I'm bringing it back so that it's touching the needle. Now the little hook should have the thread in it, and then when I release this lever, the hook will come back out the back of the needle and it will have the thread with it. So I'm going to let go of this lever slowly, but I also have to let go of my grip on this tail here at the same time. So what the needle threader does is it makes a little loop behind the needle's eye that you can then grab and pull out long. So that's how you use the needle threader on this machine. Okay, well thank you so much for watching that video on the Brother CS6000 sewing machine. I hope that helped you get your machine threaded, your bobbin wound, and started sewing. If so, please give my video a like, and if you had any additional questions or anything else to say, please drop a comment down below. I would love to know more about what you think. And please do subscribe to our channel. We put out a new video every Monday, and it's all about sewing deep dives. So I hope you'll check out our other videos and join us next week for another video. Until then, happy sewing.